sing. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Are you ready to go back in time with me again? Isn't it fascinating? I don't know, history really ignites my passions, and I know that some of you are very keen historians yourselves. So we're going to go back in time today to think about our school, Northowram Primary School. Here it is, as it was, that Victorian building. We said thank you to the Victorians yesterday for everything that they did for us, to give us all the right to have a good education. Mustn't ever take that for granted, you know. Mustn't ever take that for granted. It's a really, really important thing, and it changed everything. And we're going to go forward now a little bit into the time when, oh, I've got this one. This is probably my favourite one, actually. This is the one with the padlock, with the key, and I was so excited, and I thought, oh, I don't suppose the key will work, and I twisted it in the lock and it opened. Because of course these were private, these logbooks that were kept. It's really made me think I need to keep a log. I so wish that I'd kept a logbook for the last year, which has been so extraordinary, with school being closed and open and all the rest of the things that have been happening. And I think I'm going to have a look for one, and I think I'm going to start one. Just from the day that it arrives, and then I can put it in the special place, and people then in 150 years time, when hopefully our school is still here, they can look back at that and they can look at what the headmistress, Mrs. Scarderfield, wrote. So I've marked a few pages. I could read it all to you, but I won't, because we'd be here, we wouldn't do anything else all day. Just that I thought were really interesting. So this one starts in 1912, so just before the First World War. And I've just found a little bit which I thought was interesting about the curriculum and how attitudes to boys and girls were different back then. And it says here on January the 26th, 1912, after consultation with Miss Breach, a domestic course has been arranged for the girls who are now attending cookery lessons. So just the girls did cookery. I'll let you have a think about that. The boys would have been doing something else, because the boys and girls were educated separately, and certainly they played separately. They had a boys' playground and a girls' playground. I don't know whether you think that would be better or worse. We've come a long way, haven't we, in terms of gender equality. This made me laugh. Where is it? One for the teachers, this one. On May the 2nd in 1912, this just made me chuckle. It said, staff meeting. Now, we still have a staff meeting every Wednesday after school where all the teachers come together and we talk about something important. It says here, subject for discussion, handwriting. And it just made me chuckle, because we've had meetings on handwriting really recently, and we've introduced the pen pal scheme, haven't we? And it just makes me laugh that in 1912 they were talking about handwriting, and in 2021 we're still talking about it. We still haven't quite solved it. So that was just made me smile. Oh, and then this was good. This was on July the 11th in 1912, because Queen Victoria was no longer, she died. She wasn't on the throne anymore. And on July the 11th in 1912, it says the school was closed because it was a holiday, because there was a visit of King George V and Queen Mary to Halifax. And that's in there as a log. So I guess all the children went down to see the king and his partner in Halifax town centre. A visit of the king. So King George V. Now, I'm going to get this wrong. My history's terrible. King George V. Was King George V the Queen's father? Elise, can you just check that while I'm speaking? I don't want to give you the wrong information. This was 1912, visit of King George V. Was that the Queen's father who came to Halifax? I'll get back to you on that in a moment. Oh, and then, of course, we moved to 1914 and 1915, which was the start of World War I. And somewhere on here, if I just scan through... Where is it? Oh, yes, of course. Some of you, have you, in year 3, have you been reading The Lion and the Unicorn this year? Which is all about children from cities who got evacuated because of the threat of bombing, air raids, etc. They were evacuated to countryside places. And of course, Northowram is a countryside place. And so it says here on the 10th of September, this is 1915, so still quite near the start of the war, the children who have been staying in the Northowram village who had been brought here from Hull during the air raids returned to Hull today. So we must have had to our school evacuees who came to stay in the village whilst the war was happening and the towns and cities were being bombed. I think that's extraordinary, just to realise that we would have had evacuees in our classrooms. That's amazing, isn't it? Have you found the answer, Elise? You're still looking? She's still looking.
No, I've got it.
Okay. King George V, who was he?
Not what you said.
Oh, good. It's a good job you checked.
Close.
Never
though.
guess. Okay, George V. I thought it was a bit early.
Yeah. Grandson of Queen Victoria.
Okay.
And grandfather to Queen Elizabeth. So there you go.
Okay, so it was George V, and then the throne went to Edward the Seventh. Edward the Seventh, the one that abdicated because he didn't want to be king, and then it became the Queen's father, and then it went to the Queen. I think that's right. I think that's right. Ooh, Edward the Eighth, not Edward the Seventh. Right, okay, I need to get this all written out. Okay, that's what happened. So it was the Queen's grandfather who visited Halifax on that day. I really like to read. This is in November because we still have snow days now, don't we? Because we live so high up on a hill in Northowram that there are lots of days in this log where it says school closed because of wild weather or snowy weather. Some things never change. We always get bad weather in Northowram. It says here, on the 15th of November 1915, a very cold, wintry day. Snow fell heavily during the afternoon. The heating apparatus was out of order owing to a burst pipe near the boiler. Oh, Mr. Wood, imagine that. And consequently, there was no heating. The school was warm at 9 a.m, but gradually grew cooler. All available fires were lit and lessons carried on as well as possible under the circumstances. So, oh, this makes me laugh. This is it, not in a funny way, but just in terms of thinking how much things have changed. It says, a very wild day. A number of children got their feet wet. Well, that still happens in their journeys to school. On that account, a fire was lit in the head teacher's room. So back then, the classrooms and the head teacher's room would have had a real fire in a grate, in a fireplace. And so the head teacher, the headmistress, lit a fire so that the children could come and warm their feet and their stockings dried around it. Goodness me, imagine that, having real fires in our rooms. And again, there are lots and lots and lots of things here around still the measles. Yeah, a number of children have been away on account of the measles. Some have been really poorly. And then the other bit, what was it? Okay, this made me laugh as well because some things haven't changed at all. And in our school, it's one of my jobs to still look at all your workbooks and look at the progress you're making and talk with your teachers about things that might need to be improved or things that your class need to work on. And I found a log here on the 11th of January 1916, which says, the exercise books of all classes have been examined this week. Careless work has been noted and the scholars warned that an improvement must be shown before the end of the month. And we're still doing the same thing, really. So some things in school haven't changed at all. So I'll just read you. Oh, let's have a look. Okay, this was interesting. So this is 1918, so the end of the war. And it said the headmistress left school at 3:30 in order to attend a meeting at the town hall regarding the meal rationing scheme. Because, of course, after the war, there was food rationing for a long time. This head teacher had very, very beautiful handwriting. Have a look at that. I think when I start my logbook I shall need to maintain a very high standard of handwriting. And then probably the last thing I wanted to read from here I thought was really poignant. That means really important and quite moving. You know how on Armistice Day, Remembrance Day, Poppy Day, whichever of those words you choose to call it, we buy poppies and we have 2 minutes silence, and sometimes we go down to the war memorial. Well, I found the actual day that the war ended, the original day, because now we mark it every November the 11th at 11 o'clock. But I found the first one, and just so you can see the date, this is the first time it happened when the war actually ended. It's on here. Look at that. The 11th day of the 11th month, 1918. And I'm going to leave you with this today. So this was children your age at school on the day that the war ended. News arrived at noon today that the Germans had agreed to the forms of the armistice. We assembled the children in the boys' playground and spoke to them about what this implies for us. The children then sang, "God Save the King," gave 3 cheers for the glad news, and were dismissed for the rest of the day. Wow. That is living history in my hands, the day that World War I ended, and how it was celebrated in school with a half day off and singing "God Save the King" in the playground. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing that we found the record of that? I feel really lucky to have found this treasure in our school. So enjoy your day in our school and think about what history you're making for the children, the teachers and the parents and the community of the future. Let's make it count. Let's make good history. Okay, have a good one, everyone. Bye for now.